given below single line diagram. So in your single line diagram, there is a generator. After that, this is transformer. Again, here it is transmission line, and here it is a transformer. So the different thing is, here are the two generators again, G2, and here is a G3. Now the new thing is, here load is connected. So here it is a load A, and here load B. Now what we have to do? We have to cut out the sections from transformer side. Okay, this is your first section and this is your second section. So from generator to this transformer, this is your section 1, and this is your middle section, which is section 2, and the remaining part is section 3. Okay, what we have to do? We have to find out the kV base for section wise. That means for section 1, here it will be kV base 1. So for section 2, you will have to find kV base 2, and for section 3, you will have to find kV base 3. So by considering the given data, we have already find out the values for kV base 1, 2 and 3. So for kV base 2, the value is already given. So tell me, kV base 2 is, what is the value for kV base 2?
33.
Okay, 33. So here kV base 2 is 33 kV. So with the help of this value, we will have to find kV base 1 and kV base 3. So what is the formula for finding this kV base? So if you have to find out the kV base 2, we will have the previous section of kV base. So here the previous section of kV base is kV base 1, and the transformer ratio V2 by V1 of transformer T1. So keep it in mind that your kV base 2 is in section 1, is in between section 1 and section 3. So we will have to find out first kV base 1. So this kV base 1 will be equals to this kV base 2 multiplied by V1 by V2 of transformer 1. Now tell me the value for kV base 1. So let us put this value 33 multiplied by, what is the value, voltage ratio for V1 by V2? So there is V1 is 11 and V2 is 33. Okay. So your kV base 1 is 11 kilovolt. Now finding out kV base 3, your kV base 3 formula is previous section of kV base, that is kV base 2, multiplied by voltage ratio of section 3. So voltage ratio is of transformer 2. So this kV base 2 value is again 33 multiplied by, what is the value for V2 of T2? What is the value for V2?
6.2 divided by 33.
Okay, 6.2 divided by 33. Now tell me the answer for kV base 3. So here your kV base 3 is 6.2 kV. Now by using all these terms, that means your KV base 1, after that your KV base 3, and again here KV base 2. This is the value of KV base 2. Okay. By using all these values, we have to find out the per unit impedances for generator, transformer, after that transmission line, and again generator. The new thing is here load A and load B. So let us find the per unit impedance for generator. Okay. After that we will find out the transformer and then directly come to the load. Because already we have find out the values for generator. There are 3 generators and 2 transformers and 1 transmission line. So let us find for generator 1 and transformer. Okay. So have you write it down? Shall I erase it? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you. Okay. Now we will consider the formula of per unit impedance. First we will have common values. Okay. Now the common value of MVA. So your MVA base new value, which is already given to you. What is the value? What is the new base value?
30.
30 MVA. Okay. Now your generator 1 that is G1 is in section 1. Okay. So for this section 1, what is the KV base? KV base 1. KV base 1 is? Yes, 11 KV, am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us find the ZG1 per unit. Your formula is Z old multiplied by MVA base new upon MVA base old multiplied by KV base old upon KV base new whole square. Let us put the values in this formula and we will find out the answer for generator 1 per unit impedance. So the value for old impedance for the generator 1. What is the value for generator 1? Reactance value?
1.6.
Okay, 1.6 multiplied by MVA base new is 30. Here it is a 30 MVA. Okay, this is our new value. Now MVA base old. So your MVA base old means in your given data, what will be the value for the given generator 1? It will be your old value. So tell me MVA base old value for the generator 1.
30.
Okay,
30 MB.
Okay, thank you. Now KV base old. KV base old for generator 1. What is the value?
10.5.
10.5.
10.5 divided by KV base new value. Which value will be considered? This value, okay, kV base 1. We have 3 new values for kV base, but we will consider it section wise values. So our generator is in section 1. So the section 1 is having kV base 1. So your new value will be considered for this generator 1, which is in section 1, which is kV base 1 equals to 11 kV. So we will write 11 whole square. So tell me value for generator 1.
1.4578.
1.4578 per unit. Okay. Now we will find out the value for transformer. For transformer, we will use the same formula, only the difference in by taking or by choosing these values for kV base. Okay. So finding out for ZT1 per unit. So we will refer the formula same which is used for generator 1. So directly put the values. So what is the reactance old impedance for transformer 1? Tell me the value for transformer 1 old impedance.
15.2.
15.2 multiplied by MVA base new will be 30. Tell me old value for transformer 1.
15.
15. Okay. Multiplied by, now by selecting this value, so we have to choose kV base old. This kV base old will be considered from either from primary side of transformer, either from secondary side of transformer. Let us consider the primary. Let's take here the value for transformer 1 ratio is of primary side. So here what is the primary side value for kV base old?
11 kV.
Okay. 11 by 33 is the voltage ratio for transformer 1. So we have considered here primary side value for kV base old. Now we have to choose kV base new value. So first we will have to consider your transformer is lying in section 1. So your section 1 kV base is 11 kV. Why we have choose here 11 kV? We have also the value for kV base 2, that is for section 2. But we have choose here primary side value for the transformer. That's why we have taken this value for the new value of transformer. So we will write down here again 11 kV. This is the value for kV base 1 new and whole square. So the ratio will be get cancelled, and tell me the answer for ZT1 in per unit.
30.4.
13.4 per unit.
Ma'am, 30.
Okay. 30.
30.4.
Okay. Okay. .4 per unit. Okay. Now for transmission line, we have to find the transmission line impedance. So your transmission line impedance in per unit formula is Z old या फिर Z ohm multiplied by MVA base new upon upon kV base nu square. So your impedance for this transmission line is already given into the question. What is the impedance for transmission line?
20.5.
20.5 multiplied by, we will take all the new values. So your MVA base new is 30 and KV base new means here we will consider, here we will consider KV base 2, which will be your new value for this, because your transmission line is existing in section 2. That's why we have considered the new value for transmission line is KV base 2. So your KV base 2 value is 33 square. So what is the answer for transmission line impedance?
0.5647.
0.5647 per unit. Okay. Now let's move forward for finding the per unit impedance of load A. So to finding out the per unit impedance of load A, so have you write it? Shall I erase the?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
To find out the per unit value for load A. Okay. For load A, and similarly we will find out the value for load B. So first we will have to find out for load A. Now what are the given data? So your data given is 15 megawatt, comma 11 kV and 0.9 power factor lagging. So to find out this, that means we will represent ZLA in per unit. Okay. This will be per unit impedance for load A. So your formula is same as of transmission line. So Z in ohm or Z old multiplied by MVA base new upon KV base new square. So this is your formula which will be applied here. So let's find out first this impedance. Okay. So to find out this, we will have three values: 15 megawatt, 11 kV and 0.9 lagging. So to find out the impedance, we will require a current. To find out, let us find first load current. So for finding out the load impedance, we will have to find first load current. So your load current ILA is equals to, the formula we will consider for this is in volt ampere, because your power is in 15 megawatt. Okay, we will consider here volt ampere because, okay, let's understand first. We know that power is equals to V root 3 Vi cos phi. So we have all these values for power, voltage and cos phi. By using this, we can find the value for current. So let us put this value instead of P is VA. So your current ILA is equals to volt ampere, the power unit, upon root 3 V cos phi. If you will have to find out it in angular form, so your angle will be angle minus cos inverse of cos phi. Okay. By putting this value in calci, put properly in bracket. So now consider what is the value for volt ampere. So your value is in 15 megawatt. So by taking this value instead of this volt ampere, so what will be the value? The value will be 15 into 10 to the power 6 divided by root 3, this is 15, divided by root 3 multiplied by 11 into 10 to the power 3, because we have considered here in voltage, not a kilovolt, multiplied by lagging power factor is 0.9. And this is your angle minus cos inverse of 0.9. Okay. So find out the answer and tell me ILA. Value for ILA is so your value for ILA is 874.77 at an angle of minus 25.84 amperes. Now we will find out this impedance. Okay. So to find out this impedance, ZLA is equals to V by root 3 into ILA. So why we have taken here root 3? Because the value is considered in per phase. So for converting it to phase value, we will have to divide the voltage by root 3 for your 3-phase system. Now this voltage is 11 multiplied by 10 to the power 3 divided by root 3. And what is the value for ILA? ILA is 874.77. Let us consider only here magnitude. Okay. So, tell me the value for load impedance. What is the value for load impedance? Yes, have you find out
7.26.
how many value?
7.26.
Correct. 7.26. This is your value. Okay. Now put this value in this equation. Okay. Put this value in this equation. So we will get ZLA per unit is equals to 7.26 multiplied by, what is your MVA base new? So MVA base new is 30 divided by KV base. So which value for KV base we will consider here? Which value? KV base 1 or KV base 2? Yes? Which value we will consider here for KV base 1 or KV base 2?
KV base 1 मैम.
1 ma'am.
Why? Why we have chosen here KV base 1?
First
Because मैम
section.
लोड फर्स्ट सेक्शन में है.
Okay. Your load A is existing in section 1. So let us consider the section 1 value for KV base 1 is 11 kV. So 11 square. What is the value for load impedance in per unit?
1.8 ohm मैम.
Good. 1.8 per unit, not in ohm.
Per unit.
This is your per unit formula. Okay. We will have to find out this ohm value by putting this into this per unit formula to get the value in per unit system. Okay. So same procedure will be followed to find out the load at B side. Means your load B is existing in section number, which section? Section 3. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let us find same procedure for section number 3. So we will refer this formula and just cut it out. Instead of it, here we will consider B. Okay. Now find for load B. So the given values for load B are 40 megawatt, 6.6 kV and 0.85 lagging. Refer this same formula. So put this value for ZLB. ZLB in per unit system. Okay. So follow this procedure. P equals to root 3 VI cos phi and your ILA. Instead of this ILA, we will take ILB. The value will be changes over here. Also, we will erase it. Now this is ILB. So instead of VA, we will put 40. We will put the value 40 because the given value for load B is 40 megawatt. So 40 into 10 to the power 6, it will be in watt, divided by root 3. V is 6.6 multiplied by 10 to the power 3 into power factor is 0.85. So the angle minus cos inverse of 0.85. So tell me the value for ILB. Yes, what is the value for ILB?
4116.57.
Yes, correct. It is 4116.57 at an angle of minus 31.78 in ampere. Okay. Now find out the load impedance for B. For B, V is 6.6 multiplied by 10 to the power 3 divided by root 3 multiplied by, putting this value, only we will consider here the magnitude 4116.57. So tell me value for load B, impedance for load B.
0.925.
Correct. 0.925. This is your impedance value in ohm for load B. Now let us find the per unit value for this load B. So we have the formula for per unit representation of this voltage of load B is Z in ohm. So your Z in ohm, we will write it here, this value. 0.925 multiplied by your MV base new is
6.2
MVA base new beta
30.
and
30.
30.
30 divide by KV base
6.2.
6.2 because your load B is lying in section number 3. So your section number 3, the KV base 3 is 6.2. That's why we have considered here 6.2 square. What is the value?
Zero 0.7219 per unit.
Okay, 0.7219 in per unit. Okay. So everyone got it? The answer to find out the per unit value for all the equipments which are shown in single line diagram in your question. So now we will draw the impedance diagram. Okay. So I am going to erase all the screen. Let us draw the impedance diagram. So in your impedance diagram, we will consider here first the single line diagram which is already given into your question. The single line diagram means this G1 here load A. After that here a transformer, again here it is a transmission line. Again it is given that transformer 2 is there and two generators are in parallel, that is G2 and G3, and the load is B, load B. Okay. By considering this diagram, single line diagram, we will draw the impedance diagram. Okay. So the impedance diagram, Okay. So first we will consider this generator 1. Okay. While drawing the per unit representation of this generator 1, we will have to consider one EMF and its impedance. Now move on to the transformer. So before this, here this representation is for this transformer 1, and again here it is a transmission line. So we will draw the impedance for this transmission line. After transmission line there is again a transformer. So here is transformer impedance. After that there are two generators in parallel. So for generator 2 again we will show here the EMF. After that this impedance, it is parallel to this generator 3, and generator 3 is with its impedance. So let us join. Okay. Now this load A and load B. This load A is connected parallel to this G1, generator 1, and this load B is connected parallel to this generator 2 and generator 3. So write down, let us draw the generator 1 side, means we will have to consider here load. So your load will be represented in terms of resistance and reactance, or let us call it is a this is represented in rectangular form. So here your ZLA representation is in such a form. Now again here it is a load B. So load B is represented by considering this resistance and its reactance. So it is your impedance for load B. That means ZLB. Okay. This is your EG1. This is ZG1. Write down all the values for generator 1. We have found it out for per unit system. So write down all these values in per unit. For generator, again here it is a transformer. So transformer value will be ZT1. Write down all the values. ZTL. Here ZT2. Okay. Now tell me the one value for ZLB. What is the value for ZLB?
0.7219.
0.7219. Okay. So here your generator 2 is showing by EG2 EMF and ZG2, here ZG3 and EG3. So in such a way, we have find out all the values for the impedance for the given equipments in single line diagram, and after finding out the per unit values for the impedances, we have to draw the impedance diagram. So impedance diagram representation is showing in such a way. So everybody got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have started unit 3, which is elementary distribution scheme. So under this scheme, we have discussed about 3 types. There are main 3 types of this elementary distribution scheme, that are feeder, distributor and service means. So what is this feeder? Feeder is nothing but a conductor which connects your substation or source to the substation, to distributor line. So that is feeder. Under this feeder, there is no tapping, that we have carry the current from substation and transfer it to the distributor without any tapping. So for this, we have to consider conductor having current carrying capacity during design of that feeder. Now let's move towards the distributor. So what is distributor? Distributor is also a conductor, but with tapping. It is having tapping. So we will see the basic construction of that feeder, distributor and service mains that we have already discussed in the yesterday's lecture. So current through a distributor is not constant because tappings are taken various places to supply the power to consumers. Okay, so for distributor segment, there are considerations. The first is voltage drop along with the length, because tappings are included under this. Second one is size and length should be such that voltage at the terminal is within the limit. Since limit of the voltage variation is up to of 6% of the rated value at the consumer's terminal. So plus minus 6% of the value of the rated value of terminal's consumer. So whatever we are passing the rating of the power, so we have the voltage variation limit of 6% of that rated value. Service means. Okay, what is service means? The service means is a small cable which connects distributor to consumer terminal. So I am sharing the slides. Okay. So in the middle circle, there is substation. After that, feeder and distributor. So from this distributor, we are getting this means. The lines here, the arrow section, we are taking the name as service means. This is the proper construction of your elementary distribution scheme. So feeder we have already discussed, and after that distributor, and after that service mains. Okay, what is service mains? Service mains is generally a small cable which connects the distributor to the consumer. Okay, this is a small structure. Here we have given the name MNOP. You can see the distributors having MN, O, OP and PM are all distributors, and feeders are SM,
and SO. S means your substation, which is given in the circle, shown in the circle. So from that, SO and SM are two feeders, and the name of distributors are, there are two distributors by dividing with the help of feeders. So there are two feeders, two distributors, MNO and MTO. So let us further classification of distribution system. Here are the classification of distribution system. There are three main classification, that is depend on types of construction and scheme of connection. So depending on the types of current, there are two types, AC system and DC system. So under AC system, we have primary and secondary distribution system. And under DC system, we have two types again. There are two types, that are two-wire connection and three-wire for distribution. Under that two-wire and three-wire, there are some connection. The names are given on the basis of their construction. Okay. If you see the construction of two-wire connection of the distribution, so two-wire means one conductor is having positive and second conductor is having negative terminal. That's why we have given the name, that is two-wire connection. So under this three-wire connection, we are having three terminals. Okay, three terminals means 0 to positive, it gives positive half cycle, and from 0 to negative, it will give negative half cycle. So I will show you.
Okay. So we are studying
Classification of system. Classification of distribution system. So under this, we have already discussed about
the nature of current.
this nature of current having two, one is AC system and the other one is DC system. We discuss about this AC system. This AC system having again two types. The first one is primary distribution system, and second one is secondary
Distribution system. Okay. Under this primary distribution, we have considered the layout. Okay. Primary also secondary. So we have discussed about this primary and secondary distribution. We have shown the layout of the construction of the primary and secondary distribution and transmission system. Okay. Now we will discuss about this DC system. So under this DC system, there are again two types. The first one is two-wire connection. Yeah, so two-wire DC system.
And the second one is 3-wire DC system. Okay. So what happened under this 2-wire distribution system? In this 2-wire distribution system, let us consider here.
So first one we will discuss about the 2-wire DC system. So under this 2-wire DC system, it consists of 2 wires. One is positive or outgoing wire and other is negative or return wire. So pay attention here. I will show you. So why this is called as 2-wire connection? Because there are 2 conductors and this is positive terminal and this is negative. Between this, here is a voltage. Okay. Now let us consider here the lamp is connected. So L is denoting your lamp or load. Okay, there are 2 terminals on the output side. So this is the 2-wire DC system. Okay, which comes under the second type of nature of current, which is second type is DC system. Under this DC system, this is first is 2-wire DC system. Now what is 3-wire DC system? 3-wire DC system. So under this 3-wire DC system, there are basically 3-wire connection.
Okay. Now this conductor is neutral. Okay. So we will give it and this. So between this positive to neutral is considered, then one is connected over here. And after that, one is connected between one negative from 0 to positive, that means plus V, and from 0 to negative, it means minus. Okay. In the output, we will get V. This 3-wire DC system is consist of 2 wires, okay, outers. The middle wire is neutral wire, which is earth at substation. Voltage between out and which is equal to twice the voltage out and neutral, okay, which is shown in this figure. The one advantage of this 3-wire connection is the system is make available 2 voltages at consumer's terminal. That means, for example, V outer and V00. That means V outer and V positive to this 0 terminal. So this is the advantage for the consumers. Okay. So this was the discussion about DC system. So let us move toward the types of construction. That is our third classification. So under these types of construction, there are 2 types, overhead and underground construction. Okay. So there are further classification or further points are discussed under this overhead and underground transmission. So first is the construction base. So you can notice the construction based point of view on the basis of this overhead and underground naming. Okay. So for this overhead lines are mounted on the wooden, concrete or steel poles. Instead of this underground cable, this underground construction consists of cables
which conduits and manholes under the surface streets and sidewalks. Its initial cost is more costly because 5 to 10 times of the overhead lines. Okay. Now for the overhead lines, the initial cost is less as comparing with the underground. Okay. The fault occurrence. Let's discuss about the fault occurrence. The fault occurrence for this overhead construction, the chances are more due to the surrounding effect of natural calamities. But under this underground construction, the chances of fault occurrence are very rare because cables are laid underground with the better insulation. Okay. So let us discuss about the maintenance cost. This maintenance cost, it has high maintenance due to the open construction. It has high maintenance due to the open construction, and under this underground, it has lower maintenance cost because the less chances of fault and service interruptions from wind, ice, lighting, as well as from the traffic hazards. Okay. This was all about your classification on the basis of types of construction. Now I will share the slides. Okay. So let's move further. Your classification is on the basis of scheme of connection. You can see here, fifth type is scheme of connection. Under this scheme of connection, we are seeing the three main types. Okay. So three main we have to discuss here. The first one is radial system. Second one is ring main system, and third one is interconnected system. On the basis of these three types or three classification of that connection schemes, we have to solve out the problems, numericals, on the basis of all three types. So let us discuss about this radial system. What is radial system? This radial system, in this system, separate feeders and radiate from a single substation and feed the distributors on one end only. Okay. Only one path is connected between each consumer and substation. It means only one path is connected, okay, which connects the consumers to the substation. Now, electrical power flows along a single path. Yes, it will be definitely correct because we are having only one path. That's why electrical power flows along a single path. If interruption takes place, then results in complete loss of power to the consumers. Why there is complete loss of power to the consumers takes place? Because we are having a single path to transmit the power up to the consumers. Okay. So what are the advantages? There are two advantages. One is simplest system. You can see here. Okay. Simple planning system is there. And the next one is low cost. That means for the installation, we will require lowest initial cost. That's why the advantages we are taking out. Now discuss about the disadvantages. Okay. What are the disadvantages? Let us discuss point by point. The first one is consumers depends on a single feeder of single distributor. Okay. Because we are having only one path between the substations and this consumer's terminal. So because of this single path, our consumers depending on the single feeder and single distributor. Therefore, any fault on the feeder or distributor will take place. It will cut off the supply to the consumers. Okay. Now the next disadvantage is what? When load on the distributor charges, okay, the consumers at the distant end of the distributor would be subjected to serious voltage fluctuation. Okay, so you can see here the radial system. This is the radial system which is shown here into the next slide. So in the rectangular box, you can see the substation. And from this substation, the line is projected, which is known as feeder. We have already discussed. Okay. We are considering here any one of the feeder. So feeder is considered, that is OAC. What is the name of considered feeder? OAC. From this OC feeder, it supplies distributor AB at point A. Okay, it's supplying distributor from point A to point B. This is AB, your distributor. From this distributor, service mains are connected, that are our load. Why we have shown here load? Because from this distributor, AB is your distributor, there are service mains which connects directly your distributor to the consumer's terminal. At the end of consumer's terminal, we are considered the load. That's why we have shown here directly that load. Okay, this was all about the construction of radial system. Okay, now let's move forward towards the ring or loop distribution system. So you can see here ring or loop distribution system. That's why we will sometimes we will call it ring main system. The primary system of distribution transformer forms a loop. That's why we called here loop distribution system. It consists of two or more paths between power sources and the customer. The loop circuit starts from the substation bus bars, makes a loop through the area to be served and returns to the substation. So we will consider this construction. This is the construction of the ring main system or loop distribution system. Okay. In the rectangular path, you will see here primary ring. Now from this primary ring, we are taken out the distributors, that means substations. Okay. One substation you can see in the left side of that triangular area, and from the remaining three parts we are taken out the distributors. Okay, on each distributor we have supplied the transformer. We will call it distribution transformer. Okay, now from this distributor the connection is same as like that radial system, that loads are provided on this distributor. That means service mains connections are takes place. So what are the disadvantages and advantages? Let us discuss first the advantages. So first one is less conductor material is required. Okay, less conductor material is required. Okay, because each distributor is fed through two feeders. So that system is reliable. Less voltage fluctuation and system is reliable. That means more reliable. Let us discuss the next disadvantages. So first one is it is difficult to design as compared to the design of radial system. So you can conclude here by seeing this diagram of connection of radial or ring loop distribution system. The connection is little complex when we will compare it to the ring-main system. Okay, this was your ring-main system. You can see here the primary ring is having name of LNPR. This is your loop. This is forming a loop of primary ring. And from this primary ring, we are having the one substation and three feeders. On the three feeders, you can see the distributors are connected by providing with the transformers, distribution transformers. Okay, because we have to provide the tappings here. Now move on to the next slide. So you can see in this slide, there are number of factories and homes are connected in a loop. Okay. So this is a pictorial structure for, as an example for this ring main system. It is consisting of some ring. You can see here. Okay. Now let's move towards the interconnected distribution system, which is your third type of the classification of the substation or of the distribution system. So under this interconnected system, when feeder ring is energized by two or more generating station or substations, it will called as interconnected system.
Okay. It is supplied by a number of feeders. Radial primary feeders can be tapped off from the interconnecting tie feeders.
Okay. So by observing this diagram, you can see here the primary ring is consisting of A, B, C, D. So naming here A, B, C, D. This is your primary ring. And from this primary ring, we are taken out the distributor from the each side. That means 4 primary rings are there. And 2 substations you can see here, S1 and S2. 2 substations are there, S1 and S2. And 4 distributors are there. After on that 4 distributors, there are loads are connected. And the transformer, distribution transformer is provided on each distributor. Okay. So what are the advantages for this? It increases the reliability of supply, losses are less. Okay. It increases reliability, and second one is losses are less, and third one is quality of service is improved. Okay. Now what are the disadvantages? The first disadvantage is its initial cost is more.
Its initial cost is more because
We can see here in the construction, there are 2 substations
connected to the primary ring,
and there are 4 distributors on each edges of this primary ring. That's why we have considered the first disadvantage, that its initial cost is more.
that's why it is difficult in planning, designing and operation.
Okay. So this was your interconnected system. So this is your pictographic representation of interconnected system. You can see here the factories are connected
And the buildings are shown here. Okay. You can see here 2 factories are shown. That means we will require separate substation for each factory. And after that, from this distribution, we can supply
to the home appliances. Okay.
Now we will solve out some problems. There are some numericals on the basis of this 2 or 3 classifications. And after that we will discuss
The next part. Okay. You can see here construction of cable. So this construction of cable we will discuss further by solving out the problems depending on that three types of constructions. Okay, so I will dictate. Just write down the first numerical. So everyone should pay attention here. Okay, just write down the numerical. First numerical I am dictating. The following figure given below shows a the following figure given below shows a DC ring distributor having interconnector B dash D, having interconnector B dash D, full stop. The supply is at A. The supply is at A. Write down capital A. Now compute first current in the interconnector. Current in the interconnector. And the second one is voltage drop in the interconnector. Voltage drop in the interconnector. So I am going to show you your first. We are starting our first numerical 1. So there is a diagram which is given into your question. So name to that rectangular part is A, B, C, D and E. Here it is a current which is incoming current shown by capital I. Now here outgoing current of 10 ampere. Now this outgoing current of 30 ampere. Here outgoing current 20 ampere and current of 10 ampere. Now the resistance is given 0.1 ohm from A to E, 0.075 ohm is shown for A to B. Now B to C, the resistance is 0.025 ohm. And from C to D, here 0.0 ohm. From B to D, your resistance is 0.05 ohm. Here also same 0.0 ohm. This is their given diagram. What will we have to find? To find, first one is current in the interconnector. Current in the interconnector. And the second one we have to find voltage drop in the interconnector.
Okay.
So how can we find this total current? This is an incoming current which is unknown to us. Okay. So firstly, we have to find out this current.
Now with the help
Ma'am,
of
blood.
this. Okay. So, yes. Now you can tell me, is it clear?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now, is it clear to you?
Yes.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.